Don't feed Sivir. Sivir is a ranged, physical damage champion who specializes in multi-target damage and pushing objectives. She has a relatively short attack range for a range carry, as well as a relatively slow projectile speed. She has a moderate run speed, which can be temporarily increased with her passive and her ultimate. Sivir's passive is Fleet of Foot. When one of her normal ranged attacks strikes a champion, she briefly gains a large movement speed increase. Sivir's Boomerang Blade is a lined skill shot that damages all enemies in its path. Once it reaches max range, it returns to Sivir, dealing damage to enemies while returning. Enemies who stay in the path can be hit twice by this ability. The return path of Boomerang Blade moves towards Sivir's current location, not the location it was originally cast from, meaning Sivir can alter its path by moving. Each target hit by Boomerang Blade takes less damage than the previous target. Spell shields will block either the outgoing or returning damage from the ability. However, if a spell shield blocks the outgoing damage, the Boomerang Blade will still deal damage to the target if it moves through them while returning. Sivir's Ricochet causes her next normal ranged attack to deal bonus damage and bounce to several nearby targets. Like Boomerang Blade, each bounce deals less damage than the previous bounce. Ricochet resets Sivir's attack animation, meaning it can be cast immediately after another normal ranged attack to more quickly attack again. The first Ricochet hit functions similar to a normal ranged attack, dealing on-hit effects and benefiting from lifesteal. However, bounces only deal damage and do not benefit from on-hit effects or lifesteal. Ricochet can be cast while attacking structures, and the additional bounces will still occur. However, Ricochet will not bounce from enemies to structures. While Ricochet hits can land on champions, they are not guaranteed to hit nearby champions. Ricochet bounces do not affect spell shields. Ricochet has a very short cooldown at higher ranks. Sivir's Spell Shield is a temporary buff that blocks the negative effects of a spell used against Sivir. If Spell Shield successfully blocks a spell while active, Sivir is granted a significant amount of mana. Spell Shield will stop most AoE spells, skill shots, and targeted abilities. It can also be activated prior to running onto a trap to negate the effects and return mana. Baron Nashor's spells can be blocked with Spell Shield. If Sivir has Banshee's Veil and Spell Shield active at the same time, both shields will be consumed by a single spell. Spell Shield can absorb more than one spell, provided multiple spells land on Sivir in the same moment. When this happens, all spells are blocked, but mana is only gained once. It's important to note that Spell Shield stops negative effects on Sivir, but doesn't block spells from occurring. For example, AoE spells will still deal damage to other players without a Spell Shield. Charge and dash abilities will generally still move an enemy to Sivir. Spell Shield will stop most spells that it seems like it should stop, but there are exceptions and special mechanics. Because there are too many spells to cover here, I strongly recommend looking at other Don't Feed guides to learn how each champion's spells are affected. Sivir's ultimate is On the Hunt. When activated, Sivir gains significant attack speed, with nearby allies gaining a lesser attack speed bonus. Additionally, both Sivir and allies gain a significant movement speed bonus. This bonus lasts for several seconds. On the Hunt does not need to be cast while Sivir is in range of allies. Once it has been cast, Sivir can move into range of allies and they'll gain the buff. Allies who have On the Hunt do not need to stay in range of Sivir to maintain the buff. Killing Sivir does not remove On the Hunt from her allies. While Sivir is a ranged physical damage carry, she is more heavily oriented towards multi-target damage than many other carries. If in draft mode, two things you'll want to keep an eye on for your selections against Sivir are mobility and spell reliance. Mobile champions, especially those with gap closers, are very effective against Sivir. While she has Spell Shield and movement speed increases, she has no dash or blink ability, and is especially vulnerable to being bullied out of fights or flanked from the rear. Champions who rely on large nukes or utility abilities, on the other hand, may struggle against Sivir. Additionally, champions who telegraph their abilities in advance of firing them are weaker against Sivir. For example, Caitlyn and Blitzcrank animate their core abilities prior to damaging Sivir, and she can easily block them with Spell Shield. Champions like Volibear are especially easy to counter. On the other hand, champions that can rapidly lay down spells such as Rise and Cassiopeia are able to prevent her from easily using her shield against other champions. If you're laning against Sivir, baiting her into using spell shields without breaking them can be very effective. For example, Graves dashing forward is a usual tell for a follow-up buckshot, so simply using the dash may cause Sivir to use spell shield. This significantly depletes her available mana. Also, it puts spell shield on cooldown, preventing her from using it for any follow-up abilities. Even without baiting, casting a spell that she successfully shields will still put spell shield on cooldown, and may allow you to use a more powerful ability against her immediately afterward. Many champions have a longer attack range than Sivir. Use any opportunity you can to harass her with normal attacks, especially if she's low on mana. If she is low on mana, it can be to your benefit to avoid giving her any opportunity to spell shield. Watch out for Boomerang Blade in the lane, try to stay out of range, or at the very least keep minions between you and her to dramatically reduce the damage of Boomerang Blade. By the same token, watch out for Ricochet. You don't want to be directly targeted with it, but that said, it's a short enough cooldown that it can become very annoying harassment with only a few minions around, as it will likely bounce to you. Sivir is a very good chaser, and so are her teammates while On the Hunt is activated. If you're at low health and she's about to have her ultimate available, be near enough to your tower that she has to risk going under it, and have crowd controls ready. If you don't have any crowd controls available, recover your health before engaging in the lane. It's also important to remember that there are some situations that you aren't going to get away from, depending on your champion items if you're overextended and Sivir is attacking you. You have two options, either force her to chase you to a place where your teammates can potentially flank her, or stay and fight. Sivir is an extremely good pusher and can easily take out towers if people aren't paying attention. Make sure you have vision and a response plan to counter her showing up in a lane to push. The final thing to keep in mind with Sivir is that she deals substantial multi-target damage, especially to targets that are close together in a line. This occurs naturally in jungle choke points and is made worse by AoE crowd control ultimates. If Sivir is doing well, avoid getting caught in positions like this. When playing as Sivir, there are a few things you'll need to learn. First, learning to use Sivir's spell shield will dramatically improve your performance and potential throughout the game. One key to using spell shield effectively is timing and reaction. If you see a spell or ability coming, quickly blocking it is essential. It's worth noting that spell shield blocks abilities of all sorts, including physical damage abilities, not just ability power nukes and crowd controls. The second key with spell shield is general game knowledge. While you can use spell shield to block anything that's obvious, it may not be wise to use it immediately in every situation. For instance, against a Caitlyn, you can very easily gain mana back by running over one of her traps with spell shield active. However, if you're low health, you may be opening yourself up to an immediate ace in the hole ultimate or Piltover Peacemaker that will kill you while your spell shield isn't available. Once you're very solid on your reaction times and you know when it's safe to use spell shield, baiting out spells can be effective for getting mana back or putting an enemy spell on cooldown. This can be especially effective against champions who telegraph their abilities while casting, such as a Taric or a Blitzcrank. Understanding and using Boomerang Blade in a smart way can also dramatically increase your potential. Players who are hugging one side of a lane can be very easy to hit with Boomerang Blade if the blade is fired from the center of the lane and Sivir moves towards their side while the blade is in flight. Whenever possible, try to stay away from minions when using Boomerang Blade so the potential damage isn't reduced. Staying at one edge of the lane, such as in a bush, can allow clear harassment shots. Before teamfights, especially near towers in the later game, Boomerang Blade can be a very effective poke tool to soften enemies before engaging. If your enemy has a sliver of health left and you simply can't get in range to attack them one more time, use Ricochet on an enemy between you and them to allow for a potential jump to them. Sivir is best matched in a lane with a champion who has a hard crowd control, such as Taric. Hard crowd controls often guarantee she can get her full combo off, including Boomerang Blade, Ricochet, and at least 2 normal attacks. On a team, AoE crowd control ultimates such as Cassiopeia's Petrifying Gaze, Galio's Idol of Durand, and Leona's Solar Flare can dramatically improve Sivir's performance. By forcing players to stay near each other, even briefly, a full Boomerang Blade and potentially 2 ricochets can quickly soften a team. Timing on the hunt is different depending on the situation. Since it applies to teammates when you move in range of them, it is often a good idea to use it right before entering a team fight that is already occurring to help yourself get in position more quickly. Your allies will get the majority of the buff this way. By the same token, if you want to help an ally who's being chased, using the on the hunt to get yourself in range of them sooner while still giving them a few seconds of the buff can be smart. On the other hand, if you have a significant advantage over an enemy team, saving on the hunt for chasing them down after the fight to secure any stragglers can be a good idea. And if you're at a significant disadvantage in a team fight or skirmish, using it to help change the tides or assist in potentially escaping can be good. Though Sivir has some weaknesses in early game farm by comparison to other ranged physical damage carries, this is very quickly made up for as she gains ranks in Ricochet and Boomerang Blade. By the early mid-game, using Ricochet and Boomerang Blade on a line of minions moving towards your position in lane can immediately clear the lane and easily net you the last hits and money from the lane. This also makes her an excellent pusher. As always, if pushing hard into enemy lines, have enough vision or map awareness to have warning on when you'll need to leave. The Teleport Summoner skill can be very strong for this. Early and mid-game teamfights can quickly wipe out Sivir's mana pool, even if Spell Shield has been used effectively. While this deficiency largely disappears in late game, keep an eye on your mana before going into fights where you may need to use On the Hunt or Spell Shield to escape. Thanks for watching this Don't Feed. Be sure to subscribe with the button on the upper right. Check out my previous movie in the series, Don't Feed Nautilus, by clicking the movie thumbnail on the right. I regularly stream League of Legends and other games right here on YouTube. Make sure you like me on my new Facebook page and follow me on Twitter. As always, check the movie information box below for general thoughts and series updates, and let your friends know about this series to help promote it in the League of Legends community. Also, make a post on the official League of Legends forum thread linked below if you really enjoy the series.